Hello. So today we are going to be going over my final project for the Capstone class, which is on YouTube marketing in the book publishing industry. So to give a little background on what Booktube is, it is the community on YouTube that centers their content on discussing and reviewing literature and began sometime in the early 2010s. Currently, and when it first started, most creators focus on the young adult genre, and their audience mostly consists of teens and young adults. And the creators themselves are usually around millennial age, maybe more Gen Z now that people have gotten older, but mainly millennials. And the biggest booktuber currently is Christine Riccio, and she has over 400K subscribers. And this is a picture of her on the right here. So as Booktube began to grow, publishers began taking notice of the Booktube audience, and they started marketing on Booktube in three main ways. And these are sending creators free books for PR in hopes of being mentioned in video. So they're really promoting word of mouth marketing and just generating goodwill in the community by offering these creators free content. And then, so they also sponsor a lot of booktubers for either a designated review or even just a mention of a book title in a video can get someone a sponsorship. They also send advanced readers copies for creators to discuss and review before release. So they're really hoping to build hype through these creators, getting the books early, talking about them and reviewing them with their audience. Some implications for the industry is the main one is that Booktube is the ideal place to market to young audiences for book publishers. These creators, they have a mainly teen audience, and because that's their audience, that's the exact same audience as publishers. So they're really just going after them in their natural habitat. And publishers, mainly when they're looking for creators to collaborate with, they really focus on viewer engagement and consistency of uploads, as opposed to the number of followers. The engagement and the quality of the content is much more important to them rather than the number of subscribers. And then also, the industry as a whole, for Booktube, there's seamless integration for the sponsored content. These creators have already been reviewing and discussing books made by these publishers. So it feels really organic, their integration of sponsorships. A lot of times you don't even realize that you're seeing sponsored content unless you're really looking for it or until they specifically say that it is sponsored. So you really don't know unless you're really looking for it and paying attention. And then also Booktube is just a great place to get instantaneous feedback for these book publishers, because as soon as a book is released, they can go online, they can see what their audience is saying, what booktubers are saying, and what their audience is saying in response to what they're saying. So it's a really, really useful tool for these publishers. So some predictions for the future. I predict that Booktube marketing is going to be continuous, and it may even grow depending how the future generations begin acting as they get older. So a little bit of background, influencer marketing is actually projected to decline slightly in the coming years because there have been just so many general perceptions of influencers to be untrustworthy and unrealistic, with a lot of controversies just generally with influencers. There have been a lot of problems, and that has really tanked their reputation as a whole and using them as a whole from a marketing standpoint. So that is the prediction for influencer marketing in general. But I think that booktubers are really going to be the exception to this, mainly because they've maintained a positive overall image. There have been controversies, as there have been in any industry, but as a whole, they definitely have maintained their good image and good standing with their audience. And also, like I've said before, they really integrate marketing materials organically into their content anyway. So it doesn't feel fake or commercialized if they talk about a book. because they're talking about books anyway. So it really doesn't feel like promotion or fake with their content. And then also, it's also important to think about the coming generations and what they're going to do. Right now, Gen Z and millennials are the main audience of Booktube, and that's going to change as the younger generations get older. And these younger generations, they've grown up with technology their entire lives. So they are going to be searching for their own content that they like on online platforms. So that's why I think that Booktube has the potential to actually grow in the coming years. So the main brands that participate with Booktube marketing and just integrate it into their overall branding are Penguin Random House and Simon & Schuster. And Penguin Random House sends PR materials and sponsors various booktubers. You can see this if you look up almost any moderately sized booktuber. They will say, at least in one of their videos, that they have worked with Penguin Random House or they have been sent materials from Penguin Random House. And they also they organize interviews between authors and booktubers to attract the booktubers audience. And one example I found of this was they published Michelle Obama's book Becoming, and they organized an interview between Michelle Obama and booktubers. And that was a huge collaboration they did, obviously, with her. So that was a big deal, big collaboration, and it really attracted a lot of the booktubers audience. And Simon & Schuster does the same thing as Penguin Random House, where they frequently send PR materials and they award sponsorships, but they also integrate their own YouTube platforms into their branding. They have two main channels. They have just the regular Simon & Schuster channel, and that's mainly for adults. It's cultural discussions and literary discussions. And then they have their Simon Teen channel, which I noticed really mimics the Booktube style, the same sit down, casual feel. They try to build hype around their upcoming young adult releases. And it just really, they're trying to mimic what teen readers are doing, which is watching Booktube. So they're really trying to mimic that style in order to attract their teen audience. So for my reflection, I have always had an interest in book publishing. I actually wanted to be a book editor for a very long time. Obviously, my aspirations have changed, but I've always just been really interested in the publishing industry, and I just love literature in general. So this is something that I'm personally really interested in. And then also from just an advertising and PR standpoint, it's really interesting to study the close-knit relationships of this community and the organic marketing integration into their content. And I think studying those two things and how they can be replicated in other industries is going to be really useful for me, just me and my career, and just in general with marketing, if people start really paying attention to this seemingly small community. So in conclusion, Booktube is a unique industry where publishers like Simon & Schuster and Penguin Random House can reach their audience very easily and partner with creators who genuinely consume their product and can integrate that into their videos seamlessly. And in my opinion, Booktube is one of the best examples of successful influencer marketing and organic marketing. So these are my sources. They're also going to be listed in my paper, and that concludes our presentation.